and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, it is 10:30 on a Tuesday night, which means happy hour has begun. Grab your cocktails, get yourself situated, and let's talk to strangers on a Tuesday night. The Old Humble Happy Hour starts in just a few minutes. Hell, not even minutes. Let's go with seconds. I'm not going to wait long. Should probably get a countdown clock put there in the bottom corner. It's a little countdown clock. Alright, shut up. The show started already. I will. Calm down. I'm working on the audio. I want to make sure I got this right, and I'm not too loud, and I'm not too quiet. I don't want to have to yell across the room into my microphone. Make sure all of my technical panels are properly situated. Live chat is live. Paid chat is paid. Music is on point. Some things can only be done after the live starts. To make sure that everything is properly functioning. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, everything is properly functioning. So let's get this party started. There you are, folks. Hey, this is the Old Humble Guy. You're watching the Old Humble Distilling Company's. I don't like that logo. I'm going to change that logo. I'm going to change that. That's something that could have been done in the pre, but it is being done now. We're going to go with the logo with the white background. It's going to be huge. Yep. I don't want it to be huge. That's what she said. I want it to be the right size with the white background. Let's put it right there. Because I'm kind of covering up the one behind me. So this one is going to get disappeared. And then this one is going to get right there. I am the Old Humble Guy. This is the Old Humble Distilling Company's live happy hour. Running every Tuesday night, roughly every Tuesday night. Last week I was out of town in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. For those of you who know about Fort Sill, Oklahoma, you can probably put two and two together as to why I was there. Where's my shot glass? Hold on a second. I got to go find a shot glass. There it is. My University of Houston shot glass. We're going to go with a opening shot tonight from the University of Houston. I am drinking my Double Oak Rye. And this particular opening shot is a dedication to my two boys. One who is at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. The other who is in Austin College in Sherman, Texas. And we drove through Austin College en route to Fort Sill, Oklahoma to watch the one boy. I have two oldest boys. They're both 19 years old. They're both 18 right now. The other one's going to be 19 soon, I think. It doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. He was a bonus kid. So I don't have to know his birthday exactly. I'm sure my lovely wife will correct me any minute now. Make sure that I know he is 19 and not 18. I'm pretty sure he's 18. He doesn't turn 19 until December. Anyway, he just graduated boot camp and is on his way to artillery training. So cheers to UK. And then my other son, Logic, is studying environmental sciences in Sherman, Texas. We had to go pick him up in Sherman, Texas to bring him to Fort Sill. And then I brought him back home so he could vote for the first time in his young life. And then bring him back to Sherman, Texas. So cheers to you, Lefty. Logic. Lefty is upstairs in bed. One for K, one for Logic. And now we can get the show started. As I've already said, I am the Old Humble Guy. Hold on. That's a empty bottle of water. I wanted to get some water because I don't want to be drinking liquor all night tonight. Kind of want to have some water. Send a message to my lovely assistant, see if I can get her to bring me a glass of water. My sweet lady. Please bring me water. Thank you, love. I'm going to ask without a shirt. I'm going to ask her to do it without a shirt on. She's not going to get on TV or whatever the fuck this is. She's not going to join us on YouTube. But hopefully she will bring me a glass of water without her shirt on. I don't know if she will, but hopefully she will. I mean, if she loves me, she will. But, I mean, whether she's wearing her shirt or not, I will say she's not. So, let's get on with the show. It's going to be a fun show. This is just the host cam. I have my good cam up here at the top. I think that's too high. I think that camera is actually too high up off the ground because I'm going to be looking at it up. I like this angle better. Let me, we're going to go to our technical difficulty screen. I'll be right back. So I want to make sure I've got that'll do. 3, 2, 1 on. Ladies and gentlemen, the show has begun. All right, this is a little bit higher quality camera. I wanted to be down a little bit, not have the ceiling in the frame. A little bit further down. There we go. All right, so tonight we've got, nope, not quite, almost there. Tonight we've got three topics we're going to attack. I'm not sure I like the way, I think I'm a little off center. Needs to be a little bit this way. This way. Does that work? And it looks like it's, let's see here. Sunflowers, you are going to be my test case for the chat. Make sure my Twidget is in the right spot. Okay, that is going to be the proving ground there. There. That fixed it. That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. All right, all better. And as you can see, I've got my chat screen fixed. I've got the Twidget app to put chat right here, which is why my logo is down here. And I really want that logo to be the white logo as well. Get this down out of my face. Turn it so that it is pointed in the right direction. There we go. Now we have audio, everything's set. See, some things can't be done unless it's live, or at least somewhat live. Other things can be done just fine. So there you go. So we're going to change this logo to, nope, we're not going to do that. Not going to do that just yet. Can I change the graphic? I am going to change the graphic. Ladies and gentlemen, so we got 3 topics today. This is going to be a huge logo. 3 topics for today. We have a whiskey topic, we have a current events topic, and we have a general thought piece, a big thought, a big idea piece that we're going to talk about. We may not get to all 3, but we may. We may get to more than all 3. The chat may go in a direction that I am not even expecting it to go. And that's going to be 100% on you fine people to steer the chat however it's going to go. My portion of it is going to be about the next 15 minutes. I'm going to give you an update on the distillery. We're going to talk about my 3 topics that I want to talk about. Then we're going to talk about your topics that you want to talk about. So let's get on with it, shall we? First topic is the whiskey topic. Ding, ding, whiskey topic. I should have a graphic like right up here. The whiskey topic. I can do that. I should have it like an image because we're gonna do this like standard I'm going to do it today with text. I think, where's the text? Insert text. Where is it? There it is. Text is going to be new. So the text is going to be whiskey topic. I just heard a knock upon my chamber door. Oh, that's too big. Come on, baby. I can't see. The lights are in my eyes. I am going to assume that she honored my wishes.
But it'll reflect in your glasses. I can't do that.
Will it?
Yes.
I don't think it will. I don't think. I can't see her. She's behind. She is behind. I got my water. It is the water, as you can see.
Clearly.
The water is topless. So she kind of did what I asked.
Lift your glasses up because it reflects.
If I lift my glasses, the lights are literally in my eyes. I like that. I can still see them. I love my wife. She's the
Early
best.
morning. Good night.
Mwah. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome. I did everything you asked.
So our whiskey topic, I'm going to use that text right there. Whiskey topic. Whiskey topic of the night is, does terroir matter when it comes to whiskey? Terroir is literally a French word that means the land. Does the land where the whiskey's made matter? Now, this is a thriving, a very excited discussion amongst the Texas Whiskey Association and amongst whiskey dorks in general. And I say that with all love, all due respect to you fine folks who are indeed dorks for whiskey. It's a lovely hobby. It's a fun and fascinating hobby. And if you're going to be a dork about something, be all in and be dorky about it. Be dorky about your whiskey. Be dorky about your World of Warcraft. Be dorky about your Dungeons and Dragons or anime or whatever it is that your hobby is. Be dorky about it. Embrace it. Love it. Do it for all you're worth. And I love people who, frankly, I love people who know more about whiskey than I do about my whiskey and what goes into my whiskey. But I absolutely 100% love people who know in general more about whiskey than I do. And I promise you, it is not hard to know more about whiskey in general than I do. I know a lot about the production process and what mine tastes like. But, you know, you start getting into 25 years, Pappy, Kentucky, Ohio. I mean, I got general knowledge about a lot of that stuff, but not a lot of specific knowledge. I'm a big fanboy of whiskey dorks. So don't for a second think that when I say whiskey dorks, I mean anything other than the absolute highest respect that term deserves. See how I qualified that? But seriously. So what was I saying? Terroir. This is an active discussion and a very vibrant debate amongst people who think that there's one group of people who think that where the corn comes from matters, where the water comes from matters, where the grains come from matters, where the wood and the barrels come from matters. All of this stuff, that all of it affects the flavor of the final whiskey. And if you back up for a second, if you start the debate at whiskey, you're starting the debate, I think, at the wrong spot, because terroir was not originally a term that applied to distilled spirits. Terroir is a term that originally applied to, as you could probably guess, wine. It's a French term, and it applies to wine specifically because in the early days, and to a large extent the current days of wine production, wine is made on an estate. The estate where the wine is made is where the grapes are. Maybe turn this down just a little bit. Can you see my hands? Yeah. Where the grapes are made is where the estate is where the grapes are grown. The soil goes into the grape production. It can affect the sugar content of the grape, the sweetness of the grape, the water content of the grape, the juice content of the grape, the flavor of the grape, the soil, the acidity of the soil, the phosphorus in the soil, the base alkaline nature of the soil can all affect the production and the flavor of the grape. And the flavor of the grape is what goes into the wine. The sugar content of the grape, of the juice that the grape produces, the quantity of the grape that produces the alcohol that goes ultimately into the wine. The juice that's left over, that's not the alcohol, that remains as juice, that remains as sugar, that's the part that gives it flavor, that gives it drink. The atmosphere in which it's aging. The climate in which it's aging gives it its unique character for its style and for its time. And when you talk about, wine from 1963, wine from 1972, hot summers, dry summers, the production of the wine, all of that stuff matters with wine. But for the most part, that's because all of the components that go into the wine certainly do come from the soil and the grape and goes into the wine, and you don't lose a lot of that. But when you come to whiskey, it is more, ever since the beginning of whiskey production, it's always been more of an industrial production, not in the sense that it goes into a factory, but in the sense that it goes through more steps. Where wine, you can literally take the grapes, juice the grapes, add yeast, and put it in a corner, and it makes wine through this magic fermentation process. With whiskey, you need to do more. With distilled spirits in general, you need to do more. All that stuff at the beginning is fine. It goes in the corner, it makes its alcohol. But then you take it out of the vat that it's been sitting in the corner, and you run it through the still. You heat up the water, you heat up the alcohol, you separate the alcohol from the water, you collect up the alcohol through a condensation process, and then you take that alcohol, you take what's left of that alcohol, which is not the juice, which is not the corn water, which is not, it's like 80% alcohol. It's very little of the water, very little of the juice, very little of the nature of the source product is remaining when you distill it. And when you're making vodka, you distill it again and again and again and again to the point where there's less than 0.02% of the original source product in the vodka that you're making. So when it comes to the original texture and character of the grain and the juice, it's not there. It's been distilled out. It's gone. The atmosphere in which the grains were grown, the time when it was grown, the soil salinity or alkalinity, whatever, it's gone. The acidity of the soil, it's gone. It's all been distilled out. What's left is 20% of the original water and 80% pure alcohol. And then it goes into a barrel, and now is when you're starting to talk about what would be considered terroir with a distilled spirit. It's the atmosphere, the climate zone where it's being aged in, the temperature, the heat. This is what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about age statements, where, a 5-year barrel in Kentucky, a 5-year barrel in Texas, a 5-year barrel in the Gulf Coast of Texas versus the hill country of Texas, Scotland, Kentucky, Colorado, New York. All of these have different aging styles because of the atmosphere and zone in which they're being aged. So if there's anything close to terroir where it relates to whiskey, you're talking about the zone where it's being aged, the aging zone. Less so the grain, the nature of the soil where the grains came from. I mean, Idaho corn versus, Idaho would be potatoes. Iowa corn versus Texas corn versus Kentucky corn. I defy you to be able to tell me the difference between any of those when you blindfold yourself and eat plates of corn. Corn tastes like corn. The terroir of the corn is mostly irrelevant. I will go to my grave with this, but the terroir, I guess it would be terroir, because it's not the soil, it's not the land, it's the air. You're talking about the climate. There's got to be another word for terroir that relates to the climate. A French word for climate. Where is that? French word for climate. Y'all can look that up. I don't have to look that up. I will, though. French word for climate. It's probably climate, right? It is. It's fucking climate. Anyway, right, so the French word for climate is climate because the French are notoriously dorks. And I say dork in that context with disdain. All right, so that's our whiskey topic. Enough with the whiskey topic. What? I don't remember what the other topics were going to be. But I'm down for other topics. I am always down for other topics. I need to find out what the other topics I was going to talk about were tonight. Whiskey topic was one. Second topic was what does voter suppression look like? This is a good one. Where is it? Here? Change it to what does voter suppression look like? Current event. Oops. Okay, so as I mentioned, I went. Did we get disconnected? How badly were we disconnected? Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? I see me on the phone. I see me. Are we back? Are we back? Did we? All right, we're back. My computer got disconnected. It looked like I was disconnected from the entire thing. Looked like frames stopped and dropped. Oh, wow. I have my actual YouTube control panel right here. Huh. Interesting. Okay, back to our stats. Everything back. We've got encoding drops. I'm seeing red lights on my encoding drop. That's not great. And it looks like I may have lost chat entirely. What is going on? All right. We're going to catch up on the twit real quick while this updates. Mr. Great Shot's in the house. Cheers, Mr. Great Shot. And the goddamn bacon has arrived. Last time I checked, distilling was a method to purify liquid. You don't distill wine. You can distill wine. Now, it's not wine. If you distill it, it's not wine. Once you distill it, it becomes brandy. Or if it's from the region in France. What's it called when it comes from France? The Cognac. Cognac region of France. So there you go. That's not, nope, this is not the right. Back to the studio. Okay, so I'm trying to get my screen set back up over here. Something happened on the studio side, and I got kicked offline. I don't know what happened exactly, but I'm trying to get everything back up and running proper. It's asked me to verify my identity. I'm going to dismiss that. Thank you. I'll do that another day. Today is not the day. Okay, so I got my studio set back up. On to current events. What voter suppression looks like. So I mentioned that we drove up to Fort Sill to see my one son graduate from boot camp. The next day, I drove all the way from Fort Sill down to Houston because my other son needed to vote, and he couldn't vote at his campus, his college campus, up in Sherman, Texas. He had to drive 6 hours back down to Houston so that he could vote. Because it was his voter registration was confirmed at the deadline for voter registration, which was October 8th, and we did not have enough time then to get an absentee ballot to send in because of Texas. So because we didn't have time for an absentee ballot, he had to go 6 hours. And most of the students on that campus do, because most of them don't come from Sherman, Texas, because Sherman, Texas is a town of about 5,000 people. Most of the students on that campus did not get a chance to come home and vote. Most of the students on that campus didn't get an absentee ballot. Most of the students on that campus, of course, it's only 5,000 kids, didn't get a chance to vote. So if you're wondering what voter suppression looks like, because it is election season and the election is next Tuesday, go vote. That's what voter suppression looks like. It is a choice. It's a policy choice in the state of Texas to do that sort of thing. So that's our current events topic. That's what voter suppression looks like. Oh, and another one of the kids that I've worked with in the past, he's a Boy Scout, as a matter of fact. He is at Kansas State, Manhattan, Kansas, University of Kansas. And his absentee ballot request, you have to apply for an absentee ballot in the state of Texas. It's not just, it doesn't just get given to you, but you have to confirm your identity. And when you confirm your identity, you have to put in the same number that you registered with, and you can either register with your driver's license number or your social security number. And if you registered with your social security number and put your driver's license number on your absentee ballot request is going to get rejected. even though driver's license is a valid ID, Social Security is a valid ID. If you registered using your Social Security number and not your valid driver's license, you have to use your Social Security number for your absentee ballot. Clusterfuck in the state of Texas. Welcome to the state of Texas. They don't really want us to vote. They try to make that very clear. So that was our whiskey topic. That's our current events topic. And now the last topic is, what is our last topic? The big think topic? The big question topic. Oh, Jesus. The big question topic. See, I can have graphics for all three of these and just like cycle between big question topic and for real, I'm setting up shit to talk about. This is what I would talk about with strangers at a bar. Feel free to throw in more topics in chat. I can take this wherever it goes. I ain't got any place to be until like midnight. I want to run this show at least till midnight, maybe till 2 a.m. tops. That's my outer limit. So as long as y'all have stuff to talk about, if y'all want to talk about whiskey terroir or what voter suppression looks like, if that's really voter suppression, I'm down to discuss it back and forth. I don't really think deadlines and all that stuff. Anyway, we can talk about it. Throw it out in topics. I'm going to literally go from the first chat from Sunflowers, which is the first chat that hit the screen, to the last one that's on the screen. And we're going to go as long as we can until I run out of stuff stuff to talk about or people to talk to. Is that how it goes? How do I zoom this in? I can't hardly see this shit. Let me see if I can. Maybe there's a. Nope. There's no way to zoom this in just yet. We'll worry about that later. Okay, so the big question topic. This is one that we talked about on our way back to Sherman last Sunday night, so I could get my kid back to school before classes started on Monday morning. He could not figure out why climate change, why we could do the acid rain stuff, groundwater toxification, lead coatings and lead poisoning from gasoline fumes, ozone layer decay. Why we could do those 4 big things. Why it was so relatively. I mean, it wasn't easy, but we could garner up the support, because he's studying. He has a class on climate change right now. Why we could garner up the political and social support to get these things done, the financial support, corporations in the 1970s and early 80s to get all this stuff done. But when it came to actual climate change, why couldn't we get that one done? Why that was the bridge too far to go to? He couldn't figure this out. And it was a question that he was mulling over, and he was talking about it because that was going to be part of the discussion topics that they were going to be having in class. And, what it boils down to is, you get the EPA starting in the 1970s. You have acid rain. You have literally poisoning our lakes and rivers. Acid rain poisoning our lakes and rivers. We have runoff from sewage poisoning our lakes and rivers. We have our groundwater being contaminated from the same runoff that we're getting from industrial sites. We get the ozone layer stuff in the 80s, in the late 80s. We have, all this stuff is happening kind of all at the same time. The EPA comes around, puts in these regulations, clean this stuff up. We get the sulfur emissions out of the big smokestacks. We start moving away from coal. We put in the sulfur scrubbers and the smokestacks to get the coal to stop doing stuff, to stop making the acid rain. We sign international treaties committing to not creating weather that will damage other countries, because we know that industrial activities can create things like acid rain and pollution and cause crop failures across borders. So we make this international commitment, this treaty, to not do climate change stuff, because we know that stuff we can do we can seed rain, or we can seed clouds and cause heavy rains. We can seed clouds and soak them up. Theoretically, I'm not sure that actually works really well, but we can theoretically prevent rain. I don't know if that actually works, so don't hold me to that. But we committed to not do that to our neighbors, because we knew that stuff we did caused climate change. We knew this back in the 70s. And then what happened, well, because we knew this happening in the 70s and we were moving in the direction of more sustainable energy, nuclear power, more sustainable power, solar power. Hell, Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House, for crying out loud. And granted, the technology wasn't nearly as effective or efficient as it is today. But man, just imagine if we had a sustained investment since the 70s to today, how awesome it would be today if we had that sustained investment. But no. We didn't get that sustained investment. What we did get, though, is a concerted effort by one specific industry to protect their interest in the world. Because this was a billion dollar industry, soon to be home to billion-dollar corporations. And if you see the writing on the wall, you have two paths you can take. You can either start investing in tomorrow technologies or take advantage of the infrastructure you have today and buy a couple of senators and make a concerted effort to manipulate the media and manipulate the conversation to obfuscate the obvious that we already knew. And it was a concerted effort over the course of about 25 years. And it finally took hold. And look at the world today, where you have 97%-ish consensus among scientists that we're in the anthropomorphic era, anthropogenic era, where people are actively dicking around with the not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming is the error that I'm seeing. That's not great. I wonder why. Stream is live. It keeps dropping. All right, I'm gonna keep an eye on this and make sure I see what's happening. But you have this concerted effort to protect your economy, to protect your investment, to protect your economic endeavors, because the writing on the wall was that this stuff was all going to go away eventually. Over the course of like the next 20 or 30 years, this was all going to go away. And the effort worked. I mean, look at what we got today. 97% of the scientists, all of the data show that we are affecting the climate, but the general consensus among the population, like 55%, 60%, something like that. You still have senators going onto the floor of the U.S. Senate with snowballs in the wintertime saying it's cold outside, so global warming must not be a thing anymore, and then taking the snowball and throwing it on the floor because that's effective. So what I'm saying is, we got to where we're at today. The reason we're here today is because of where we've been. And where we were was a very promising moment in our past, but there was a counteractive moment pushing against that. And the solution to the problem that we have today is understanding how we got here, not just waving your hand and saying, okay, we're going to regulate it out of business, but saying, okay, this is how we get the stakeholders to the table and make sure that they're not freaking out because their billion-dollar businesses are going to go away. And that's the big question topic. I got nothing more to say about that. Me and my son talked about this for like an hour on the road, and it was a really fun conversation. And I encourage y'all to discuss it amongst yourselves. Throw questions in chat. I don't know if I have good answers, but it's a fun discussion to have. What it isn't going to be is a debate about whether or not climate change exists, because it does. It's a thing. We're dealing with it, and we're dealing with the effects today. It's not going to be a debate about whether climate change exists, and it's not going to be a debate about the age of the earth or flat earth or any other nonsensical bullshit. It's a discussion about the topic. If you want to discuss the topic, I'm down to discuss the topic. That's what reasonable, wonderful, rational people do. This is what we used to be able to do at bars. We used to be able to have discussions with people, with rational, reasonable people at bars. We'd have a drink, we'd pour us a drink, maybe buy your stranger friend a drink, and you'd sit there and have a drink, and you'd talk about weird stuff. You'd talk about why does God hate Mexico or something weird like that. What the fuck do you mean God hates Mexico? You're like, well, I don't know. They're like, it's smoggy in Mexico City and they blah 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 whatever. And you maybe you got your crazy reason, and then everybody else is like, you're crazy. That's dumb. Mexico's beautiful. The God doesn't hate Mexico. And then they're like, well, what about the chupacabras? And you're like, oh, I see. You're a crazy person. And then you turn and you walk off and you go to the other table. And you talk to those people over there because they look like they're having fun. And, he's wearing an interesting shirt and she's wearing a very low-cut dress. And, yeah, that's why we're going to have this conversation over there, because those people look interesting. And this guy's talking about a chupacabra. I can't have that conversation because that's nonsense. You just might as well talk about unicorns. Anyway, can we do a word from our sponsor real quick? And then come back and do chat. How's that sound? We are at that point? Yeah, it's 11:06, 30 minutes into the show. It's time to go to a word from our topic and then back to chat. But first, where are we at? Sources. Nope. We're on this scene. Source. New. That's the one. I want to hide that. Yeah. But we're going to go to live chat 2 after this. Okay, we got that in the control booth? I'm talking to my producers here at the Old Humble Distilling Company. Happy hour. Move this camera down just a little bit. A little bit more. Yeah. All right, move the camera down just a little bit. And, okay, we're going to cut to the word from our sponsors. Okay, Marshall, we good? Cut to the word from our sponsors. They'll be back with live chat on the Old Humble Distilling Company Happy Hour. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in just a minute after this word from our sponsors. What button do I push, Marshall? Is it this one? Nope, that's not the one. Is it? That's the one. All right. Distilling Company oldhumbledistilling.com/shop-online. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our whiskey is available in 47 states across the world, across the country. And you can get our whiskey delivered straight to your door. And I encourage you to do so. You can also subscribe to our channel. You can do super chats. You can do all the stuff that monetized channels do. And I would appreciate your support. I absolutely do. Super chats go to the front of the line. Members chats also go to the front of the line. I look forward to hearing from you. And for the third time, thank you for your support. Cheers and good night. Wow, that was a shitty commercial. We're going to work on that and see if we can get better commercials on this here show. We used to have the Ad Twins video, and I need to go and find that because that was on my old computer, on my old computer's hard drive when that computer crashed, and I need to go find that video. I might be able to reach out to my sweet friends, the Ad Twins. My rumor is they live in Houston or in Texas, I think in the Austin area, but I can't prove that, and I would not want to dox them out. If I did know that, I wouldn't tell you. So don't hold me to that. I think they're Australian, as a matter of fact, but I don't know a whole lot about those guys. I ought to have them as a guest on my show. That's what I ought to do. Delay ads. There's 2 buttons here. One that says insert ad, one that says delay ads. I hope it doesn't put ads in randomly now because I accidentally hit a button. I bet it does that. Let me know if an ad shows up on your stream. I want to know who my sponsors are so I can thank them personally. That would be cool. That would be really cool. All right, let's go back to chat. The chat will show up over my right shoulder. This is my right shoulder. The chat will show up there. And we're going to start at the top and work our way down. Chat, where is it? Did I not add? I didn't. Okay, we're going to add this in. We're going to do this live. Browser, Twidget. Okay. Did it work? Boom. There it is. I'm going to make it bigger so that I can actually see it. That's not right. Oops, that's not right. There it is. That's right. All right, so there's Sunflowers chiming in with the first comment of the night, Sunflowers, and I, of course, said hi because I'm not a monster. All right. Mr. Greenshot is in the house. Cheers, Mr. Greenshot. Thank you for joining the party. Who's next? Super chats give YouTube 30%, so you prefer to send money to a stream through PayPal. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Let me find what my PayPal number is. If you want to PayPal me, I'm down. But I'm also $15 away. $15 away from my next monetization from it's at Old Humble from YouTube. So there's also that at Old Humble. Old Humble is PayPal. PayPal is at Old Humble. At Old Humble. I should probably put that on the scroll down below. But hey, Super Chat's there. I'll pin this message up at the top. There's that. If y'all are, if that's how you prefer, that's the way to go. I could probably find the other ones too. But thanks for that heads up, Mr. Goddamn Bacon. I appreciate that heads up. I'll make sure I have all the other alternate routes in there. In fact, next week I'm probably going to do a happy hour episode called specifically the $15 happy hour. I kind of want to do that, kind of a cheeky little wink wink, that the whole point of that particular episode will be to finish the monetization period and get it done, because I've been sitting at like $80 or $85 for the past 3 months. Where am I exactly? The number is $85.72. That's my current. Can you see that? Yeah, my partner program is $85.72. So I need to do a $15 program so that I can do so I can finally get that goddamn check out of Google, and then we'll start working on the next $100. My boobs aren't big enough, and I don't look good enough in hot pants and a bikini to be able to turn $100 a week or $100 a day, or have my checks be, have commas in them or anything like that. That's like, I think that's going to be the second one that I get this year. I need to get bigger boobs or a tighter butt, one or the other. Just look, in general look better. That's probably how I need to do it, right? And then how it's done. If I zoom in, if I make it bigger, does that make the Twidget bigger? That does not make the Twidget bigger. All right. The font on this thing is small. Okay. On to the next chat. I don't want to go too fast because I don't want to run out of chat. Y'all need to pick up the pace. Next up, Mr. Great Shot. Is bottled and bond worth the time? That is a great, oh my God, that is a great topic. That's a great question. Is bottled and bond worth the time? So there's a couple of things about bottled and bond. Bottled and bond means that it's bottled by the same person that distilled it, or in the same warehouse where it was distilled. It's got a higher proof. It's typically above 100 proof. I don't know if it has to be, but I think it typically is. I guess I could look up all the criteria. My general opinion is no. Because most whiskeys that are distilled, bottled and bond definition is what I'm looking for. Because there's criteria. There's criteria that makes bottled and bond what it is. So the definition is bottled and bond. It's a designation for spirits that meet certain standards. No shit. The spirit must be distilled in a single season. Must be distilled in a single season, spring or fall, by a single distiller at a single distillery. So all whiskey is distilled in a single season. It's distilled in a single day. When you distill it, it's distilled that day. It's done. You don't come back and distill it again later in the year. But what they mean is you only have 3 months of this product because you're done with, so there's a time limit to the time when this year's bottled and bond can be made. I should do a whole show on bottled and bond. So I can't make bottled and bond all year. I can make a spring, summer, fall, winter. I can make 4 batches of bottled and bond, or not batches, 4 runs of bottled and bond. I can do it from whenever spring starts, March 15th to June 20th, whenever spring is. But I can't, after that, I can't make any more bottled and bond of that run of spring whiskey. Okay? So that's what that means. That's what that part of the criteria means. In a single season by a single distiller, so it would be just me running the still, as opposed to the team of 5 that or 10, whatever, however many distillers they have. This is his project. It's his run. He's running. He's pulling the levers and whatnot. He's making the cuts, or she is making the cuts and doing all this stuff. Just about everything I would do would be considered bottled in bond, because every barrel that I fill, every time I run the stills, every time I do it, it's me in a single run during a single season, doing a single batch, whatever. I could make 4 different batches of bottled in bond bourbon if I wanted to, but I don't call it bottled in bond. Anyway, next up. At a single distillery, so it's never blended. It's always a single distillery. It's never a blended distillery or a blended batch of bourbon. So blended Scotch could never be bottled in bond. So there's that. The spirit must be aged for at least 4 years in a federally bonded warehouse. Now, the volumes that we run through the Old Humble Distilling Company aren't high enough to require a bond, so I dropped our bond years ago because we don't run enough volume to require a bond. But that said, a federally bonded facility means you're at least running enough volume to require a bond, or you've chosen to bond your facility, and it's just a tax bond. You have a bond to cover your taxes in case you don't pay them. And it's a nominal fee, but it's a fee nonetheless. Next up, proof. The spirits must be bottled at least 100 proof. So I was right. It's a little bit higher proof. We do our stuff at 90 proof. They bottled bond has to be at least 100 proof. And the labeling must show the distillery where the spirits were distilled, and if different, where they were bottled. But bottled in bond, I guess I guess it doesn't actually matter where it was bottled. The Bottle and Bond Act was enacted by Congress in 1897 to protect consumers from imposter spirits. Some consumers considered the BIB designation to be an endorsement of quality and a commitment to transparency. Others consider it archaic and do not use it. But here's the thing. If your distiller quits or goes to another distillery in March, then you can't do any more of that bottled and bond. You have to have a different. Well, I mean, you could have a different distiller run the bottled and bond. Is it worth it? Now the question is it worth it? That's subjective. We're back. Okay. So how long were we dead on mic? Lost all audio. Got it. Um, there's got to be something else to it, because it seems like bottled in bond should be that it was bottled in the same place where it was made, which should tell you that it wasn't sourced product. But most distilleries already tell you that on their bottle when it says distilled by or distilled at or distilled in. I don't know if it's worth. It would depend. It depends. I wouldn't pay more money for bottled in bond than I would for 100 proof spirit that doesn't say bottled in bond. I wouldn't pay for factory whiskey in general. I prefer craft whiskey, small batch craft whiskey, even if it is, aged in a bonded rick house. And most rick houses are bonded. Most rick houses are, and the reason why they're bonded is because they run enough volume through there that the bond basically covers any variance in taxes. If they're short or over in taxes, the bond covers it. Or if there's a accident, theft, damage, whatever, that's what the bond is there to cover, catastrophic damage. And it's like, $100 gets you a $10,000 bond. It's not, $100 might get you a $100,000 bond for that matter. It's not a huge deal to have a bond, but under certain volumes, you don't have to have a bond. That's what it means to have a bonded rick house. So I don't think, I don't know. I wouldn't spend money on the label that says bottled in bond. I would spend money on the value of the whiskey itself, that it tastes good. The fact that the person that made it was made in one season, it's 100 proof and all the other shit, that means absolutely nothing to the quality of the whiskey itself. If I open up a whiskey and I drink it and it tastes like a $50 whiskey, but it costs $75, it's not worth it. All of the criteria for a label that says bottled in bond has nothing to do with the quality of the whiskey that's in the bottle. And it all depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a rye and it's a bottled in bond bourbon, no, it's not worth it. If you're looking for a bourbon and it's a rye, it's not worth it. If you're looking for a corn whiskey and it's a rye, it's not worth it. It's never going to be worth it. Because if you're looking for rye and you get corn, it's not worth it. There's no dollar amount that you can pay for corn whiskey that makes up for the fact that it's not a rye if that's what you're looking for. But nothing in the criteria of bottled in bond says anything to the flavor, style, quality of the whiskey itself, except that it's 100 proof. Now, designations in my mind that do matter, straight or not. It tells you how long it's been aged, at least 2 years. Craft, handcrafted or craft. The designation on the back that tells you where it was made, if they disclose that. The part that tells you how much they make in a year. That's all. To me, these are the important things. I want to know when I'm buying a whiskey. If I'm looking for a local whiskey, I want to know that it's a local whiskey. If I'm traveling to, if I'm going to Oklahoma and I pop into a liquor store in Oklahoma and I'm from Texas and I want to get an Oklahoma whiskey, I'm willing to pay a little bit more, $30, $40, rather than $20 or $30. I'm willing to pay a little bit more for a local whiskey. Hell, I'm willing to go to the distillery, talk to the staff of the distillery, and pay $50 or $60 for a bottle of whiskey at the distillery, because then I know that I'm at least getting it from the people who made it. Maybe they bought it from Indiana and they did some stuff to it in Oklahoma. I'm fine with that. I'm fine if they sourced the product and did stuff to it. And it's their whiskey when they put it into the bottle. I'm fine with that. So that's the criteria that matters to me. Whether, what facility it was bottled in, what if the rick house was bonded or not. Shit, I'd almost be more interested in the fact that the rick house wasn't bonded, because that means that the distillery is doing they're not making a lot of whiskey every year. That might be interesting. Especially if you get 2 bottles made in different years. Because quantity does matter on these things. So, does it matter? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Because is it worth it is a qualitative question that you need to answer for yourself. For me personally, just like with the small barrels and rebarreling whiskey, I don't think it's worth it to get one of those half-liter barrels or 1 liter barrels, 1.5 liter barrels, and pour your shitty whiskey into a 1 liter barrel, let it sit for a few weeks, and pour it back into your bottle. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the price to get a $60 barrel to make a $15 bottle of whiskey taste like a $17 bottle of whiskey. I don't think it's worth it at all. I think it's a waste of fucking money. I'd rather spend $75 on a good bottle of whiskey, or better still, $35 twice on 2 good bottles of whiskey that are already good to start with, and then you don't have to fuck with a stupid little barrel. That's my quality standard. But if you want to spend $75 on a $60 barrel and a $15 bottle, go right ahead. But at the end of the day, you're still drinking a $15 bottle of whiskey. So there's that. On to, that's a great question, Mr. G. I really do appreciate that. That's going to be a topic for a future show. I'm going to write that down. If I can find a pen. Is that a pen? That's a pencil. That'll do. Bottled in bond. That may be an 8-minute whiskey chat. That's a good. I haven't done that topic before. Old Pirate. Oh, God damn. Welcome back to the show, guys. Old Pirate Bourbon. Cheers. Cheers, community friends. Whiskey tumbler emoji. I love that Twidget just tells you what the emoji was, but they don't actually show the emoji. Back to Mr. Great Shot. Well, that was Mr. Great Shot's question. Yeah, cheers. Technical difficulties. There's always a couple of technical difficulties. Why vote? Oh, this is a great question. Why vote? The few people that run the country have already decided the one. Here's the thing. I tell people to vote even if you're going to cast a blank ballot. Go cast the ballot. And yeah, to a large extent, the people running, the politicians, the people in charge, the governors, the governance, the people doing the governance, they've made up their mind. Just like when you bring your car into the shop and you're like, I really want you to look at the timing chain. They're like, I already know what's wrong with your car. I heard you pull up. They know. The mechanic already fucking knows. And that's not to say that our politicians know better. They do know better than we do. They're the professionals. They're professionals at this. In the same way that if your whiskey club comes to my distillery, I already know what you're going to like. I already know. You're going to try the barrels, and I already know what you're going to taste. I already know what you're going to like. And that's not, it's the difference between the professionals and the not professionals. There are a lot of whiskey enthusiasts that know an awful lot about whiskey. But, you're not going to get a whole lot of variance between the barrels that you get out of the same, out of the floor of the distillery, because they're all in the same place. So and you're not going to be able to outsmart your mechanic. You're not going to be able to outsmart your accountant. You may be able to make suggestions to them. They go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. But they're going to know how to implement the stuff. Because, again, they're the professionals. That's how it works. But that's why we put them there. And that's one of the many reasons why I hate term limits, because term limits takes professionals who are good at what they do out of the mix. The people who have the connections, people who have the relationships, it takes them out of the mix. In some cases, they're good because it fights corruption. But in other cases, it's bad. I don't think term limits for legislators are necessarily a good idea. I don't think term limits for city council members are a good idea. Term limits for mayors and presidents and Supreme Court justices are mostly a good idea. For mayors, probably. Presidents, almost certainly. Supreme Court justices, probably. It might be better just to have more justices and not have term limits, but, or have them basically have a justice join let's see, if you had 13 justices and a new justice added to the court every 4 years, you'd have, let's see here, 13 justices and mandatory retirement. So each one, you have two, well, 13 is a prime number, so you can do, so you have one like every year. So that basically would allow for a 13-year term for a Supreme Court justice, right? So at the end of the 13th year, you're out, and you get removed. You retire immediately after 13 years, right? I mean, that'd be. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking this shit on the spot. Don't like. This is not like a well thought out policy position or anything like that. I mean, that'd be reasonable. That wouldn't be like a term limit, but it's reasonably a term limit. You know, you'd have the same people on the court for a year, and then, you know, you'd have one, like 13 people on. If somebody dies, then they go into that position to finish out that term. So you'd have a temporary term of 6 years or something like that, you know, because the justice died, you go into take his or her spot for 6 years. And then at the end of that term, they appoint a new whoever. So basically every president would appoint 4 justices, a justice every year. And no president would be able to pack the court with 6 justices. That would be just, unless 2 of them died, I suppose. You could do that. There could be a situation where they're like 2 of them died 3 years ago, and then you're in a position where you can appoint 6 justices because 2 of them died 4 years ago. That's possible. But even then, you wouldn't have one, you'd never be in a situation where one president could pack the court unless the president serves 2 terms and he gets 8 justices. 8 justices out of 13. I don't know. Anyway, what was the question? Why vote? The people in charge that run the country have already decided I don't know if they've already decided the winner. They may have already decided the policy and the plans, but I'm certain they haven't decided if they're going to be able to follow through or actually do the stuff they want to do. They've certainly not decided the winner. They can't decide. They don't have the power to decide the winner. Even the one group that's trying to decide who the winner is going to be, whether the people like it or not, they don't. I mean, they're assuming a lot of things that we don't know if it's going to happen. You know, I mean, if the electoral map looks like it did in 2020, then the plans that they're making work out because they can hold up the certification of 2 or 3 states and create havoc. But if the electoral map doesn't look like that and it looks more like the map from 2008 or 2012, then they can't do that. Or if it looks like the map from 1980 or 1984, they can't do it. They can't pull the shenanigans that they're contemplating. So no. And besides, in Texas, the argument can be made in Texas that it doesn't matter. Your vote, you know, Texas has been what Texas is for the last 35 years, and it's going to continue to be what it is for the next 10 at least. But more so in the last 3 elections, Texas is getting closer and closer and closer to what it was back in the 60s and 70s. A purpley state that can produce Democrats and Republicans, an active debate stage where political ideas are contemplated, so much so that you can create national leaders because we have 1/10 of the population of the country living in this state, and active, thoughtful, intelligent leaders who are actively, thoughtfully, and intelligently debating problems and looking for solutions to these problems, and not just a bunch of chuckleheads who are racing to the bottom of an ideological pit. It would be nice if we could have leaders from the states that are leading states in our country and not just laughingstock and fools like Abbott and Cruz and Ken Paxton and these other dipshits that are just laughingstocks. I mean, Jesus, when Rick Perry gets on the stage and he says, well, I'll eliminate 5, or no, he says, I'll eliminate 3 departments from the federal government. And Ron Paul's like, you should do 5. And he goes, no, I'll just go with 3. And then he names 2 and he goes, the third one. And Ron Paul's like, hey, I can give you a bunch. Ron Paul's got a whole list. And both of them get laughed at. They get laughed off the stage. It would be nice if we could get back to the world where, we created leaders out of the state like Sam Rayburn and Jim Hightower and Lyndon Johnson. And one of these days. It's coming. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. I feel it. I feel it coming soon. Texas. But yeah, the argument could be made for a long time. Why even vote in Texas? Because, the margins are like 60-40. Who cares? Why even show up? The decisions have already been made. The dies have already been cast. The electoral maps have already been written. We've been gerrymandered into non-existence and non-relevance. I mean, they don't want us to vote. Only 45% of the people, 35% of the people vote. The voting, they want us registered, but they don't want us to vote. They put up all the roadblocks. No, that's why you go out and vote. Because if they didn't want you to vote, that means that your vote has power. And the only way you take away the power of your vote is by not voting. They're trying to stop us from voting. They're putting up roadblocks and making it hard to do it, at least in this state. I can't speak to Utah or Kansas or any other state. I can speak to our systems and how we do our elections. They are well thought out, secure, and rigidly audited. They are good systems. We don't have vote swapping and all that other nonsense that people claim every fucking year. It doesn't happen. They're good systems. But connecting those systems to the people who are registered to vote, that is a policy choice that they don't do. They don't want us to. If they did, if they wanted us to, they would have different policy choices. It's real easy to have your voting rolls match your voters. And that is, if you voted in the last election, you're automatically registered. If you didn't vote in the last election, you're not registered. Your election gets wiped out. But then couple that with same day voting registration, where you can show up, show your ID that's a valid ID in the state of Texas, and be registered to vote that day. We have the technology to do that. That's not hard to do. We can do that shit. We can easily do that. And then everybody who voted is a registered voter, and everybody who didn't vote gets wiped off the voter rolls same day. And you can register to vote again ahead of time and not vote. That happens all the time. But you plan to vote in July and you never get around to voting in October or November. October is when early voting is. November is the day of voting. And, that happens. That happens all the time. Whatever happens. It rains, you get sick, you get a car wreck. There's 1,000 good reasons to not vote. You intended to, but you didn't. You got busy during the early voting week, the 2 weeks before of early voting, you got busy, you couldn't get it done. But there's no excuse to have the policy decision to prevent people from voting the way we do in Texas, except that you don't want people to vote. That's the policy decision they have. But yeah, I encourage people to vote 100% of the time. Even if you don't like either one of the candidates, if you don't like any of the candidates, vote a blank ballot. Because here's what happens. If you vote, then that creates the market of people that politicians have to reach. If you don't vote, they don't know you exist. You're a low propensity voter. You're not someone that they're trying to reach But if you vote, if you just cast the ballot, they can say, look, we had 100,000 people in this sector of the county vote in these 5 precincts, and 10,000 of them voted a blank ballot. We need to reach those 10,000 people. We need to do a better job of reaching those 10,000 people, because those 10,000 people could sway the election. But when 10,000 people just stay home, they got nobody to reach. They don't know anything. I mean, they don't know if you couldn't make it to the polls. They don't know if you weren't interested. They don't know if you were registered, but then you moved. They don't know any reason. They don't know anything about you. But if you go to the polls and cast a blank ballot, they know that you're there. You're there. You're there. You're reachable, and you're pissed off at whatever the fuck they're talking about. You don't like either one of them. You cast a ballot that says, no, none of the above. Fuck all y'all. Give me someone else. But if you don't do anything, you don't get counted. But at least show up and cast a blank ballot. I'd absolutely cast a blank ballot. I mean, the alternative to a blank ballot would be Green Party or Libertarian Party. But still, blank ballot is just as effective as as those other two. But yeah, I'm down 100%. Do that. Next. I should have a bell. Bing. Next. Oh, dude, we have a bell upstairs. Anyway. Again, if a commercial shows up, if an ad runs, I want to know who that ad is. I'll put the chat up. I want to know who that ad is. Let me know, because I want to know who our sponsors are that are sponsoring running ads during the show, if that's even happening. Next up, why do I still have dial-up internet? Fuck you. What had happened was my wife came in and brought me a drink of water topless. See, it's my water topless. She came in and brought me my water, and I think she stepped on the cord and pulled it out of my. I have it. I'm wired to the wall. I am wired to the wall, but I think she stepped on the cord and pulled it out of my. I pulled it out a little bit. She pulled out just before I was finished. Next up, fracking makes my water. Fracking makes your water taste better. It also makes it light on fire. It makes it really pretty at night because you can light it on fire. Vanessa Kitty's in the house. Cheers, Vanessa Kitty. One of my favorite human beings. Welcome to the party, Vanessa. Cheers. Mr. Great Shot back. Would Old Humble have a long-haired redneck? Would I hire a long-haired redneck to help with the distillery? I love rednecks. I love long-haired rednecks. I love long, red-haired necks. That's not right. Long, red-haired people with necks? Yes, I would hire a long-haired redneck to work at the distillery. I absolutely would. 100%. Oh, I have an announcement to make next week. But I will be making that announcement next week. Our cocktail of the month for November. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, you should be. And I'm going to fix my website so that you can sign up for our newsletter this week. That is on my agenda for this week. Write that down. Fix newsletter sign up. I just realized that I had not had that on my website for a while. But we are going to have a new cocktail of the month available at our tasting room called the Fireside. The Fireside cocktail is grapefruit juice and maple syrup. So instead of lemon juice and maple, it's grapefruit juice and maple. A pinch of salt, a sprig of rosemary, and a shot of vodka. So maybe you can take this information, put 2 and 2 together, and figure out what the announcement is going to be next week. Maybe, you think? Think y'all are smart enough to be able to put together the context clues on that one? I think you might be able to figure that out. Cheers, Vanessa Kitty. It's just so hard to fucking read. Maybe I can make it slightly larger. Can put it right over my head. Yeah. High grade shot. Love fest here. I love it. Close but no cigar. What the fuck are y'all talking about? Oh, Gret shot. I see that. Gret shot. What time is it, by the way? I need a clock on my wall so I can see the time with the light shining in my eyes here. Like they're literally at eye height. Like y'all can see the light panel, right? Y'all can see that right there. Y'all can see the lights. They're like literally at eye height. Anyway, where are we? Next, Mr. Great Shot. Red Hearts. Let's chat. What's that say? Norwals. The whales with the big old penis or tooth, the horn sticking out of their face. Are those even real? There's a museum in Iceland that is dedicated to penises. And the Norwal penis is on display at the Iceland Museum of Penises. This is a thing that I know. I don't know what information I lost when I found this information out and it became lodged in my brain cortex, but that is information that I know. So there you are. Now it's information you know. So take that. Don't forget super chats, memberships, all that stuff's available. I have my last $15 to get to our next monetization paycheck. So it's not a lot of money. It's $100 every like 6 months, but you know, it would be cool. It's the next check pays for a light on my mobile camera harness. So I've got this harness for my mobile camera that I can hold with my hands like this. And I've got a lighting rig on it. It's the next check pays for that lighting rig. And I've got earbuds that I can use for microphones. So I don't need to have a special microphone, but the microphone that I can get is like only $20. So, you know, it's a wireless lapel mic that goes into the butt of your phone. So I might get that too. But that's what all the monetization payments go to studio shit for, new microphone, all that stuff. All the monetization stuff goes to Studio Kit. So YouTube money goes back to YouTube. And I will, I'm going to do a members only giveaway. But right now, Mr. Jigs is my only member. So I need to have more members to do a members only giveaway. But I want to make a thing, like a knife with barrel stave handles, or one of my ring toss games, or one of the ring toss games, one of the signs that I have, the flashing LED light sign, or maybe a barrel head, paint the barrel head and give that away. Or I don't know. I want to give away something, do a members only giveaway to generate some memberships, but I don't know what that's going to be quite yet. I think the knife is a really good one. I could do that, but Jigs deserves all the swag. I agree with you. But he's a great guy. I like him. But anyway, I do want to do a members only giveaway and maybe I'll do something where I get some specific merch, like a bunch of shot glasses and members only shot glass. And I just order, 50 shot glasses, and the next 50 members gets a shot glass. Period. Done and done. Finished and done. 50 members would be it'd be like $100 a month. on the baseline membership. In fact, I might do that. I might just fucking do that. Do just order up a bunch of members only shot glasses. That's a thought. That is a thought. Let me write that down. Members only shot glass. Maybe I'll do that members only shot glass for the collapsible shot glass. I know. Hang on. I'll be right back. Let me do I have the where's our give me a new scene technical. I'm going to go. Sorry. I'm going to go grab a thing. I don't want to just leave. I need to give y'all at least a little graphic with some music, but I'm going to go grab a quick thing. I want to show you what I'm talking about because this will be cool. But I need to get to the picture. Where is it? So I'm doing studio production shit in the background here. That one. Beep boop. Okay, and then we're going to add to that media source. The media source is the little banjo song. Okay. So I'm going to switch to, I'll be right back. And we're back. See, that was very slick of me, wasn't it? So this is what I'm thinking of. Something like this. Members only giveaway where it's like has our logo. Oops, where's it at? Can you see that? See that it has the logo on it? It's a little hockey puck looking thing. You take the lid off and voila. It's a shot glass, baby. It is a shot glass. Look at that. You give it a little twist. This thing ain't going anywhere. But boom, collapses back down, covers up, and it's a keychain, an Old Humble keychain / shot glass. I think I might order 50 of those and make those member giveaways. If you join as a member, I pop it in an envelope, send it off to you. I think that would be worth it. A little membership drive. I think that would be cool. A little membership drive. So think about that. If that's something that is interesting to y'all or worth it to y'all, let me know. I mean, they're like $15. I mean, I sell them for like $15 in the distillery. So that would be a 6-month, 7-month subscription. And I think the subscriptions renew every 6 months. So I think that'd be worth it. Yeah. Anyway, next. Horns are a good thing. Oh, the narwhal horns. So the narwhal is that whale in the northern Atlantic, I think is where it lives. The northern Atlantic and the North Sea. And it has a big old horn on its head. That's literally all I know about narwhals. So there you go. Super chats, and then I give you my PayPal. That's that. PayPal is Old Humble. It's pinned at the top. If y'all don't like super chats, PayPal's right up there at the top. Thank you for your support, as always. Love you guys. Y'all are the best. Cheers and good night. But also, for what it's worth, if you were if you don't want to do super chat, if you don't want to do PayPal, if you don't want to just like, I really do appreciate the funds. I appreciate the support. I do, but I would much rather you just buy the whiskey. OldHumbleDistilling.com. There, in fact, there it is right there. OldHumbleDistilling.com. There's a button, say shop online. Go shop online. Buy some whiskey. Buy some whiskey. Share it with your friends. Talk about it. Share some stories. We're getting into the holiday season. Buy some whiskey as gifts. Makes for a great gift to give to somebody. You can order it and have it sent to their door as long as they don't live in Michigan or Utah or South Dakota, or maybe it's North Dakota, Tennessee now. There's another one. I can't remember what it is. The map's there, but just add Tennessee to that list. I mean, I can't tell you how much of support that would be. I super duper appreciate it. Absolutely 100% appreciate it. We're trying to get our online sales pushed up a little bit from what they were in the last last 6 months, the 6 months prior, the first half of this year. But, super chats are great. I love them. Memberships are great. I love them. OldHumbleDistilling.com. I love that even more. And that is the product plug brought to you by our sponsors, the Old Humble Distilling Company. The sponsor is, of course, me, the Old Humble guy. That's the sign back above my head. That's who's on this chat right there. That's I mean, I make this whiskey. I'm proud of this whiskey. It's delicious whiskey. In fact, we won at the Highland Games. We won a gold medal. Look at that beautiful gold medal. We won a gold medal, 2 gold medals at the Highland Games. I bought this ring because I was very proud of the work that I did at that particular event. So there you go. Plus, it's black and gold, and that is the colors of the U.S. Army, black and gold. So that was my wink and nudge homage to my boy who was graduating from boot camp a couple of weeks later. I have an Austin College hat. I have my Army hat. I think it's funny when you wear a U.S. Army hat, the hat that says U.S. Army, people say, "Are you a veteran?" Like, no. When I wear a Houston Astros hat, do you think I played first base? I mean, people don't ask me if I played on the Mets when I wear a Mets hat. They ask me if I'm okay and if I need help scooping my food up because they think I'm a little bit, touched. All right. Anyway, on with chat. Your mic is cutting out. Is my mic? Yeah, okay. I fixed the mic. We had technical difficulties. We're all better now. Or it's YouTube with the stream. There is an issue with the stream, and I do need to get that worked out. Although we're doing well now. Whatever was going on has been settled. It might have been that internet connection that was causing a problem. Might have been. I'm not sure. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have an ad coming up. I just got a notification. So if you got an ad, let me know in chat who the ad was for. Last week at trivia, or 2 weeks ago at trivia, it was Ron Wilson, I think, a congressman in Michigan that advertised on our stream. I don't know. I'm looking at my phone. I don't see an ad coming up on my phone. So there is. Oh, that's Safari. I was going to say there's a bunch of stuff about Bottled in Bond on my phone, but that was because I looked up Bottled in Bond. Okay. So if an ad comes up, I want to know who it is. Be honest. I want to know who it is. I want to know what video game is advertising on my show, or what politician is advertising on my show. Okay, onward. Next up, Bottled in Bond has to be 100 proof as well. That is correct. Bacon. Mic got fixed. I don't know why my mic even cut out. I unplugged it and plugged it back in, and it was fine. I must have pulled the cord somehow. But it is working now. As I play with the cord. But yeah, it's working now. There's nothing on top of the cord. There's nothing overlapping it. It's just, it's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Aged in a bonded rickhouse, correct? And you got me. Mic is still dropping in and out. Is it fine now? I'm seeing the audio and my stats. Everything looks normal. So I think that's, how long ago was that chat? Mr. Great Shot. Your mic is still dropping out. That was 11:30. That was 30 minutes ago. Are we good now? I assume we're good now because I haven't heard any further commentary on the mic issue. Top Shelf Dustin's in the house. Cheers, Dustin. Have you come to terms with our next 4 years of Donald's rule of our country? I've come to terms with the fact that he's going to be on the ballot. He's probably going to win Texas because Texas is full of a bunch of fucking idiots. But I don't think he's going to win the presidency, my man. I don't. It's more of a vibe check. I'm not buying the polls. I'm convinced that the media, that all of the news agencies, ever since the beginning of time, like they would not be reporting a blowout. If a blowout was on the horizon, they wouldn't be reporting a blowout, partly because nobody would show up at the polls, and also because nobody would pay attention to the coverage. They need the drama. But even with the polls as they are, the one guy has never gotten above 47%, 48%, whatever. The other one has gone up and down. She's got momentum. She's growing her base. And the other one is not. And barring shenanigans, yeah, I'm happy to send you that bottle of whiskey because he's going to be on the ballot. I said he was not going to be on the ballot. I didn't think he was going to be on the ballot. I thought he would go to jail. They moved the sentencing to the 15th, 10 days after the election. So clearly he's on the ballot. His sentencing was supposed to be back in July, I think, or August. I think it was July, like a few days after the convention. So, yeah, he's on the ballot. I owe you a bottle of whiskey. But he's not going to be president of the United States. And next Tuesday, I'm working the polls, as I do every year. Brought to you by the Old Humble Distilling Company's Double Oak Rye. That's what I'm drinking tonight, by the way. What's this? Oh, that's my comb. Look, I have a comb. See? This is what I use my comb for. I brush my beard. Because I don't have any use for a comb up here. I use a washcloth to brush my hair. Anyway, no, I don't. I mean, I just, yeah, I don't. I mean, hey, I see an advertisement. Who's this? This advertisement is for Matador Network. This is the ad that just came up on my phone. Matador Network. I don't know what the hell that is. Is that the Haktua girl? Afternoon temperatures. I'm going to let it run through. New Zealand. That's not Haley, what's her face? Hannah, what's her face? Anyway. Okay, yeah, if an ad shows up, I want you to put in chat, please and thank you, who it was that came up in your ad. Mine was Matador Network. So I'm going to go big thank you for your sponsorship. I think I spelled sponsorship right. Okay, so yeah. No, he's not going to be the next president. I'm not willing to concede that ground yet. Sorry. Maybe the best reason to vote I've heard in a while. Thank you, Bacon. Thank you, Bacon. See, I'm a big believer in the marketplace of ideas. And if you're involved in that marketplace, as a consumer, you should at least be willing to tell the sellers of the ideas that you don't like their ideas, but you're there. You've come into the store, you've looked around, and you've left. I mean, their job is to capture your vote. Their job is to create policies that capture your vote, that capture your interest, that capture your willingness to vote for them. If you're not willing to vote for them, they need to know that you're in the store, that you showed up, that you looked at the goods and you didn't like what you were shopping for, so you turned around and left. There's a bunch of reasons not to vote. I was sick. I couldn't make it to the polls. I was out of town. I was busy that day. I had to wash my dog. I didn't, I couldn't make it for whatever reason. I was at work. I was at school. I was, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons not to vote. And those aren't people that they're trying to convince that their ideas are good, because they're not people who are going to the market. You can't sell to air is the common phrase that salesmen use when the stores are dead. I go to stores to sell my whiskey. I go to where there's crowds of people, and my job when somebody comes to my table is to sell their whiskey. I'm not trying to sell whiskey to the person who's 3 rows over at the jewelry store. They're shopping for jewelry. But when you come to my table and I give you a sample and you're not interested in my whiskey, that tells me that I need to do something better with my whiskey. It's either price, flavor, value of whatever value, or maybe there's just something else that's completely and totally out of my control. But if you don't show up, if you don't go to the polls, if you don't go to the store, they don't know you're even there. So they don't know what ideas you want them to have. They don't know what problems you want them to solve. They don't know anything about you because you didn't go to the store. But if you go to the store and you cast a blank ballot, you're at least saying, look, I'm here. I want something. I want better. You don't have the Oscar Mayer wieners that I'm looking for. I want Oscar Mayer. I don't want Armour hot dogs. Armour hot dogs are for poors. I'm a dignified gentleman, and dignified gentlemen put Oscar Mayer hot dogs in their mouths. And you two fine folks are selling Armour hot dogs, and that is for the poors. So bring me my premium Oscar Mayer wieners, please, and thank you. And then you put your monocle in, and you walk off. You flounce away into the into the foyer. This is the part of the show where I amuse the shit out of myself, apparently. But for real, I am a 100% advocate of having a national day of voting, a national civic holiday that is the voting holiday every fucking year. And every fucking election should be on the second Tuesday of November every year. None of this off-season, off-calendar, off-cycle voting shit in February and March and June and August. Fuck that. If you're going to have an election, if you're going to have a ballot, it's going to be in November, unless it's the primaries, and then the primary should be 6 months before the actual election. The primary should be 6 months before. We should have a national primary, and I know that's never going to happen because the parties do the primaries and they cycle through groups of states and blah, 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 blah. Fine. You got 4 weeks in a fucking month. What's 6 months before November? April? You should have a primary each Tuesday in April. Boom, 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 boom. We got 4 days to do primaries. We got 50 states. We can do 12, 12 states per week. Go for it. You got 3 months to plan for it, 3 months to campaign, and 4 weeks. Boom, 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 boom. At the end of April, you've got your candidates. Bam. And then the conventions happen in June and July, and then 4 months after that, right? April, May, June, July. So June and July, you have your primary or your conventions. And then August, September, October, 3 months of campaigning, and then boom, you got an election in November. I think that's a perfectly reasonable calendar. I love it. Put me in charge. I will drop the hammer and make that happen tomorrow. We come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. I do not like campaigns that last for 2 years. I do not like the Sam I Am. I do not like it here nor there. I do not like it anywhere. I do not like it on a boat. I do not like it with a goat. Eating chote. Is that a thing? Is chote a thing? Anyway, sorry. But yeah, I mean, I'm a as a capitalist, as a market capitalist, I mean, I like market solutions to simple problems. And that is a market solution. You got to have the market show up. And you've got to be able to address the market. And the best way to tell politicians that you're not happy is not to stay home, is to go to the polls and cast a blank ballot. You don't have to vote for anybody. You don't have to vote. But if you go vote, you don't have to vote for anyone. You can put in your credentials and cast a blank ballot. Take a blank sheet of paper up to the little polling counter and slide your blank piece of paper in, and it will count a blank ballot. Done and done. Do that. Tell them you want better. Or vote for the person who's not a fascist. I mean, those are two really great options. Or if you just want to vote for a fucking fascist, go and vote for a fucking fascist. But still, I mean, there's better options and there's lesser good options. Go and do, you can choose. That's what I'm saying. You can choose. But I am a firm believer in our civic duty, our democracy, and I take great pride in the fact that we are a civilization that solves our problems with ballots, not bullets. We fight our civil wars in state houses, in courtrooms, in debate halls. We fight our battles in bars, and we fight them over pints of beer and shots of whiskey. And at the end, we shake hands and we're still brothers. That's what America is all about. We can disagree on the way we solve problems, but we should at least agree on what the problem is, right? That's how it had been for decades. We agreed on the problems and disagreed on the solutions, and we would come together and find compromises, and at the end of the day, shake hands and go have a meal and a pint together. But nowadays, we don't even agree that there's a problem. We look around and the world's on fire, and half of us say, the world's on fire, and the other half say, yeah, sure as fuck beats being cold. And you're like, can we put out the fire? And they're like, but I haven't finished toasting my marshmallows yet. And you're like, God damn it. That's why we can't get anything done. Half of us are like, people shouldn't lose their house because they broke their leg. Like, medical bills shouldn't bankrupt people. And the other half are like, but the earth is flat. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, there's a conspiracy. People are keeping information from us. You're like, yeah, but people are literally going bankrupt because they got the flu. And they lost 6 days of work and they got fired from their job, so they're going bankrupt. And granted, people who get the flu and lose their job after 7 days don't usually have enough assets to go bankrupt, but it's a analogy, if you will, an exaggeration of a fact. I do know people who literally lost everything because they broke the breadwinner broke his leg and it got infected and he lost like a month of work and then he got fired and then he lost his insurance and then the medical bills skyrocketed and they lost their house. They went bankrupt. He lost his house. I know personally people to whom that has happened. I personally know people who died from a preventable infectious disease. I personally know people who have had medical bills that have swamped them, who literally went bankrupt because they blew out a tire on their car. Blew out a tire, lost their job, couldn't go into work, blew out the tire, couldn't go into work, lost their job, had to replace their tire, got themselves into a debt spiral. This is a thing that happened to that one person. It's anecdotes are not evidence, but it's indicative when there's data showing that more than half of the people in the country don't have $500 in savings. And if you don't have $500 in savings, a blown tire can put you into a debt spiral. Truth. Dustin, they had a house. This was in the mid 90s when he had his house. He didn't have a house at all after that. Was it mid 90s? No, it was early 2000s. Early 2000s. And for the record, for what it's worth, I'm not a big fan of policies that are like, we're going to bring down home prices and make housing more affordable. I don't want my home price to go down. I've got a lot of fucking money in this house. This is my number one asset. For most people who own a house, that's their number one asset. You don't want to lose 10% on your number one asset. This is my retirement plan, or a significant portion of my retirement plan. The kids graduate from high school. They go to college. They graduate college. They're not coming back. You move out of your 4-bedroom house and into a 2-bedroom house. Get everything paid off. You take the cash from the house. You put it into your retirement savings. I don't want the value of my house to go down ever. I don't like that policy at all. I would much rather see wages rise to make housing more affordable, not housing go down. But I like that a whole lot better than using the military on U.S. citizens. I like that a whole lot better than having an office of denaturalization. I like that better than having the National Guard rounding up people with Hispanic last names and then figuring out whether or not they're citizens or not. I mean, if that's the two choices, my house going down in value or not up in value as fast versus, one of my relatives being deported because he was a naturalized citizen and they decided to revoke his naturalization papers. I mean, I would much rather keep my cousin around. I'm willing to, forego a little value increase on my house, I suppose. But I would much rather some kind of policy be in place where corporations cannot own. I mean, it's not even a policy where you can say, look, you can't get a FAA loan or a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or Sally Mae. That's student loans. A Freddie Mac, whatever. A government-backed mortgage because corporations have enough cash sloshing around. They can just be like, fuck it, whatever. We'll just spend $1 million and buy, 5 houses. They can do that. They have the cash. They have the free cash flow. They can do it. There's got to be some other kind of policy where you can say, we limit the number of single family homes that a single person can own, or single family homes can only be owned by single families, or, one individual. You personally can own as many homes as you want. They just can't be incorporated into a business. I don't know. There's got to be a solution to it. There's got to be a way to solve this problem because we think we know a lot of the housing costs are being driven up by inventory being soaked up by private equity. But I don't know if that's really an issue. I don't know if that's really the problem. Turning single family homes into rental homes, turning single family homes into Airbnbs, so that I don't know. I don't know what the real data shows. Dustin, I'm sure if you're still in chat, I'm sure you have access to more data than I do, and you're probably wonkier than I am as far as drilling through that data. But it seems like there's got to be a way to make it so that single family, I mean, Jesus, when my grandparents bought a home, their first home was like 650 square feet on a quarter acre, and it cost like $500 or some crazy shit. When my parents bought their first home, it was like 750 square feet. When we moved into our first rental, it was a 650 square foot house on something like a quarter of an acre. The house was built in the early 60s. There wasn't a right angle on the place. They don't build houses that small anymore that I know of. I mean, every neighborhood you go to is 2,000, 3,000 square foot house. The average size of a house is something like, I think it's something like 2,300, 2,400 square feet. It might be 25. Somewhere in that neighborhood. But the average size of a house has gone from something like 800 square feet to something like 2,500 square feet. So there's got to be some kind of way to solve this problem without, driving down the price of houses. But even if the only solution is to drive down the price of houses, if the two options are drive down the price of houses and have an office of denaturalization, I'll go with the drive down the price of housing. That I'll fall on that grenade for my fellow men and women in the United States who were adopted from foreign countries or who came to our country and became naturalized citizens. I'll fall on that grenade. I'll take a 10% haircut on the value of my house to see my fellow citizens, my fellow brothers, my fellow Americans not be sent back to countries that they left. That just seems like, the neighborly thing to do. It seems like the neighborly thing to do. Am I right? Yeah, I think I am. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm okay. I'm okay with being wrong about that. I'll take that up with my sweet Lord when in the hereafter. Speaking of which, we should probably do a show about why Firefly is the best TV series ever. But not today. That's a different day. That's a different day show. Onward. Ding. I need a bell. That's why I need a bell. And we have a bell upstairs. Anyway. Humble is the kind of guy that tells his class there's a pop-up quiz next week. I am the kind of guy that I will tell you that there will be a pop quiz. I'm not going to pop a quiz on you. That'd be mean. Just show up and be all like, yeah, there's a quiz today. That's mean. Oh, look. The lava lamp's running. That's usually my signal. When I notice that, it's my signal to kind of wrap up the show. So we're at what? At 12:30? Yeah, it's been 2 hours. I'll keep it going for a little while. I've got chat to clear out. Yes, I am that kind of guy. Jigs needs all the merch. Yes, he does. Good God. Ads? Yes, ads. No, you will not be deleting it. You will be staying here and you will like it. Harris does have momentum. It's just going the wrong direction. That's false. I mean, that's just a wrong statement, but you're welcome to make those statements. Matador Network. That is, I believe, a travel network. So there, Matador Network. Thank you very much, Matador Network. You're sitting this election out. Okay. Too much work to vote since you moved last year. Oh, so you moved. That's why you're sitting it out. I get that. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be that much work. If you're still registered at your old address, you can still vote. They're going to ask you. Well, okay, so here's how it is in Texas. if you're still registered in the same county, you can vote. No problem. You put in I think it's called an affidavit, swear of residency, something of residency, some SOR, something of residency. I don't know what the something is. It starts with an S, but it's not something. And then you can vote in your county when you changed addresses. If you move to a different county, you can't vote in your new county. If you're not registered in your new county, you have to go back to your old county to register. If you vote in your new county, you can do a provisional ballot, which means you're not going to vote in your new county. You should just go back to your old county and vote in your old county under your old registration, under your old license, under your old address. But if you go to the new county, you can do what's called a provisional ballot. You cast the ballot and it goes to the county, and then you have to affirm your address in the new county within 10 days of voting and blah, blah. It's a pain in the ass. So most people don't vote if they move to a new county. They just don't. They don't bother. It's a hassle. It's a pain in the ass. They don't bother because there's not same day registration in the state of Texas. The third thing is if you moved from out of state into Texas, you can't vote. You can't. If you're not registered in Texas, you can't vote. You move from Oklahoma to Texas, they will not accept you. You can vote a provisional ballot, a presidential ballot, where you're from out of state. You're a registered voter from out of state. You come to Texas, you vote in Texas, you can vote a presidential ballot. That's it. And it's just for president, vice president, and that's it. If you're from Texas and you move away and you haven't re-registered in your new state, you can request a mail-in ballot, and because you won't be in your home county, and cast your vote absentee. I think that covers all the options. You moved inside your county, it's no big deal. You moved outside the county, you can come back to your old county or vote provisionally in your new county. You moved out of state, you can vote a presidential ballot or absentee ballot. You can only vote a presidential ballot in person. So if you move out of state, you can request an absentee ballot if you're still registered in the state of Texas. You just don't tell them that you're permanently residing in another jurisdiction. If you move from out of state to Texas, you can go to the main voting office and cast a presidential only ballot because you're registered out of state. That's what it is. You're registered out of state. You live in Texas. You can cast a ballot for president only. If you want to cast a ballot. I think that covers all the options. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. They just kind of make it hard to... Same day registration would solve that problem. Same day registration solves that problem 100% of the time. And if you don't vote, you should be scrubbed off the voter rolls. I think the rule is 3 years. If you don't vote for 3 years, I think it should be if you didn't vote last year, you're not registered. Maybe 2 years. Give them 2 years. If you didn't vote for 2 consecutive elections, two Novembers in a row, then you get removed from the voter rolls. And you should, but at the same time, you should be able to register to vote at the polling location. We have the technology to do it. It's not that complicated. It's literally just showing your driver's license when you register to vote, because your driver's license is what confirms that you're a U.S. citizen, because you have to have a passport to get a driver's license. And if you don't have a driver's license, if you only have a state ID, then the state ID indicates whether or not you're a citizen or not, because you have to show your passport or birth certificate to get a fucking ID. To get a state certified citizen's ID, you can show your green card or your work visa to get a state ID, but your state ID in Texas, at least, I can't speak for other states. In Texas, if you have a work visa or consulate ID, you can show both of those either one of those documents, because that shows that you're here legally, and then you can get a state-issued ID legally from the state of Texas. If you don't have any of those documents, you can't get a state ID, and if you don't have a state ID, you can't vote. That's how it works. You can't register to vote if you don't have a state ID. And if you do have a state ID, the state ID indicates whether or not you're a citizen or not. If you're not a citizen, you can't vote. That's how it works. We have the technology to do this shit. It's not that fucking complicated. But it's a policy choice. So they make it difficult. So people then say, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I'm going to sit it out. Welcome to America. Dignified me. Dignified me put Oscar Mayer Wiener in my mouth. Comments. This isn't even a proper quote. Dignified me put Oscar Mayer in their dignified men put Oscar Mayer Wiener. It's Meyer, not meter. Dignified men put Oscar Mayer wieners in their mouths. Not that Armor crap. Armor hot dogs are for poors. Armor also makes, Armor does not. There are Vienna sausages, but Armor also has a version of Vienna sausage. It's like, I don't even know what it's called, but it's not Vienna sausage. I can assure you that. Vienna sausage is for dignified people. If you're going to put a sausage in your mouth, make it Vienna. That's a fucking ad right there. If you're going to put a sausage in your mouth, make it Vienna. Vienna sausages. Sausage for the dignified man. I mean, come on. It's all right there. Anyway. Wait, they had a house? The rich elites. To retire, you're going to be... No, we're going to move into a smaller house. The idea is to move into a smaller house and use that as a base camp for our RV travels. That's the idea. We want to move into a small... It's just going to be the two of us. If it's just the two of us, we can have 1,000 square foot house. But the rest of the money is going to go into our RV, or a portion of the money is going to go into our RV, and we're going to travel the world, or at least the North American continent. Maybe even the South American continent. So, there. Yes. And it doesn't have to be a big fancy RV. It's just the two of us. It's just an RV big enough for the two of us and a dog. Maybe a cat. Probably just a dog. But, she's a chick, so she's probably going to want a cat too. Anyway. Old people buy second homes. They don't sell big homes. Yeah, I don't want a big home. I don't want to have a big home as an old person, though. Why? Why have a giant house that you're just like tottering around in as an old man? Big, empty, vacant. Ugh. Dreadful. Anyway. You'd be wild not to incorporate your rentals to avoid liability. Yeah, I know. Yeah, as an individual, you'd want to incorporate your rentals into at least an LLC, but probably a C Corp, and probably have each individual house incorporated into a C Corp that owns the house, and then the C Corps be grouped into an LLC so that you could pass the dividends from the C Corp through the LLC as personal income. Or maybe have all of the C Corps under a C Corp umbrella. There's ways to organize it. Either way, it doesn't matter. But yeah, you'd be wild not to do that. But you want, as a policy, you want individuals owning the houses, not boards of directors. You don't want Berkshire Hathaway buying up inventory. Because then Berkshire Hathaway can sit on the empty houses and wait, because they've got the luxury of time. They've got the luxury of time and damn near infinite resources. So, when they when they build inventory for homes, single family home inventory, you want those single family homes to go to single families. And you want rentals to go to landlords. But you if they're single family rentals, you want those landlords to be individuals, not corporations. And you can and part of the reason that they have a limit on the number of FAA VFA veteran the limit on the number of VA loans and Fannie Mae loans that an individual can have to rent or to buy individual homes, single family homes, is because they don't want individuals owning more than 5 homes. But if you're a corporation or if you're a wealthy individual, you've got that cash laying around. You can self-finance the purchase of the homes. You know, if I've got $5 million, I can buy as many fucking houses as I want. I can take the 5 VA loans or the FHA loans, take those 5 loans, and then I can take whatever cash is left over and buy a house, and then collateralize that house into a loan, then go buy a house and collateralize that into a loan, go buy a house, collateralize that, and eventually I've got a bunch of homes that are loaned out, collateralized out, and then I can bundle them together and collateralize them and take the cash out of those. I mean, money solves a lot of problems. If you've got cash laying around, you can do damn near whatever you want with it. Money solves a lot of problems. It gets around FHA loan restrictions. It gets around medical debt. It gets around school lunch debt. It gets around all kinds of stuff because you have money laying around. You can do a lot of stuff with money. You can do all kinds of damn near anything with money. You can't buy happiness, but you can, pay off your medical bills, which makes you pretty happy. Pay off student loans, which makes people pretty happy. You can bail out banks, which makes bankers pretty fucking happy. You can do a lot of stuff with money. A lot of stuff. And that's the challenge, is to make it so that the stuff that people do with the money is not causing problems with the overall well-being of everyone else. That's the issue. That's the idea, at least. So, yeah. That's the thought. What did I miss? I skipped one. A big problem is that houses are huge. You are correct. I 100%. Houses are huge today. That's a huge problem. Because like I said before, the starter houses that our grandparents and parents bought were tiny. They were the size of my first apartment. My first apartment was 450 square feet. 400 square feet. It was a 400 square foot apartment. 20 by 20. Enough for 2 beds, me and my roommate. I had a roommate. It's a 400 bedroom apartment. 400 square foot apartment, not 400 bedroom. 400 square foot apartment had a bedroom, study, I guess you'd call it that, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a living room. And in our living room, there were 2 recliners, one for me and one for Thomas. Our living room had a kitchen, our kitchen had a kitchen table and oven, stove, refrigerator. That was pretty much it. Our study was basically one long table, one long desk that was attached to the wall that went the length of the wall. It was about 12 feet long, if I'm not mistaken. No, it could have been 12 feet, about 8 feet long, because the whole apartment was 20 feet wide. And the middle part of that apartment was the bathroom, and it was a bathroom kitchen kind of. So that 20 feet was separated out. There was the kitchen, which was about 8 feet, and the bedroom, which was about 8 feet, and then the bathroom, which was about 6 feet, 4 feet. Oh, it had to have been more than 4 feet. Could have been 8 feet wide. The bathroom was probably 6 feet wide, because I could definitely touch the wall and the other wall at the same time. Can I do that? But I could definitely touch both walls at the same time. So it was probably 6 feet wide. So we probably had a 7-foot kitchen, a 7-foot table, because the room was very symmetrical. But then the bathroom was there in the middle. The bathroom was in the middle. The kitchen was on the other side. And then the dining area in the kitchen. And then it came to a front, and there was a door that went and separated the bedroom area from the living room area. But that apartment cost me, I believe, this was 1996, and if I'm not mistaken, that apartment was $500 a month. 400 square feet, $500 a month. City of Houston, inside the city of Houston. And I lived there for a year and change, my senior year of college. I lived there for a little more than a year. And then I think Thomas graduated and moved out, and I stayed there for another 6 months, and then I moved out to another apartment with a 600 square feet. But then the first house we moved into was 650 square feet. It was a rental. It was a rental house, 650 square feet. And I think that house, if we would have bought that house in the neighborhood it was in, I think that house would have cost us about, at the time, 1999, 2000, 2001. We got married in 2001. So we would have moved into that house in like 2002, I think. At the time, I'm pretty sure that house would have cost about $175, $270, $250, between $175 and $250 if we were going to buy that house. But today, I think that house is a teardown, if it even exists still. I'm going to, I'll tell you what, I'm going to drive by our old house, see if it's still there. And then I'll look up the value in our tax rolls and see what the value of the house is now. And I will report that next week. Actually, I could probably look it up right now. Let me see. Let me look at the address. Let's see if I can look at Street View of that address. There's the HAR. It's currently not for sale. Oh no, wait, that's the wrong house. That's our last house. I'm thinking of Indigo. I don't remember what the address was for that house. To be completely honest. Oops. Okay, I'm going to Street View. I'm going to see if I can find the house. It was on Indigo Street. This is some cool TV, isn't it? Okay, so I'm currently heading. Let's go. We're gonna do a thing real quick. I'm going to browser capture. Did that work? Nope. Okay, we're not going to do browser capture. We're going to do window capture. We're going to go that route. Capture window. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're going to go screenshot. See if I can find my old house. So this is Indigo Street. We're going to make this big screen. All right. So this is Indigo. This is where I used to live. And I don't think I'm in the right section of Indigo. Because that is, I don't know what that is. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so this is the old neighborhood. This is the old neighborhood where I used to live. 4334 is not the right address. And that is inside the loop. West Loop. I think we were outside the loop. So I need to go outside the loop on Indigo Street, which should be here. No, that's Endicott. We were past Endicott. That's South Rice. That is Chimney Rock. I think we would have been here? No, we could have been there. All right, I'm trying to find my old neighborhood. I know how to get there. I would come down. This is the south. What highway is this? It's the West Loop. That's Beech Nut. Indigo. I thought we were further north. Okay, so no, I'd come down Beech Nut. I thought I would take a left. Maybe it was Endicott. No, that's not right. U.S. Fitness. No, that's not where we were. I thought it was Hillcrest that I would take that right turn off of. So it might be. So I definitely lived on Indigo. Let's look and see if it's here. 51. All right, so we're going to go Street View here. Or did this kick me back to where... Okay, that's 4560. That's not where I lived. Definitely not where I lived. That's an empty street. Okay, hang on. What the fuck? Come on, guys. Let's make it 5210 Indigo. Show me... Yeah, show me that street view. That's not my old house. See, these are the old house. This is the neighborhood I used to live in. Which direction am I facing? Am I going the right way? Let's look. I think it was an old... Let's see if I can find the house. 5215. I don't know if my house is even there. But this is an idea of where we moved in that first year. I don't know who these people are, so I think we're safe. We're not doxing anybody, right? Oh my goodness, look at that. Holy shit. That wasn't there when I lived there. That's for sure. I'm looking. Let's see. I think this is the house right here. I think that's the house. This one. This little gray house. But it's got a 2-bedroom garage or a two-stall garage. We didn't have a 2-stall garage. Hang on. Let's take a look. Is that actually a 2-stall garage or is that just a 1-stall garage? What the hell? What's going on here? Yeah, see, that's a split garage. We didn't have a split garage. But that looks like our old house. Maybe this was the old house. Maybe. Let's see here. We had the whitewashed brick. I think. That looks like... God, all these houses look the same. They all look so fucking similar. We had the single car garage attached. I don't know if I'll be able... there it is. It's this one. Nope, that's not it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I can find my fucking house. I don't think it's there. Well, I mean, it's there. It hasn't been stripped down. It's one of these houses, and I really do think it's this one with the split car garage. But we only had one when I lived there. It was only one car. It was only a one car garage. They may have extended that garage. Because that looks like my neighbor's house. I vaguely remember them having the little thing in the front. This looks like it might have been my house. Turn one more. It's for sale. It's for sale. Because I remember the whitewashed brick. That's a different door. But that would have been our computer room. Because it was just the two of us. So there's a bedroom here in the front. And then a bedroom behind that. The living room. The garage. And the kitchen was back here. In the back. It looks like they extended the garage this way. Somehow. Because this was the old side of the house. But normally they'd extend the garage this way. But this is where the kitchen, I guess that was the dining room right there. So I guess they extended the garage into where the dining room was. So instead of actually having a dining room, maybe they put something in the back. Maybe there's something in the back of this house. They extended the back of the house out. Because the kitchen would have been back here. The backyard was huge in this place. I may call this phone number tomorrow and find out what the value of that house is. Where's the address? Does it show the address anywhere? 5227 Indigo Street is the address it shows. Let's see. So if you're curious as to what part of Houston this is on, I'll zoom out and show you. 5227, 5210 Indigo. It is on the southwest side of Houston, just outside of Loop 610. But I need to fit this to the screen. Transform. Fit to screen. There. It's on the southwest side of Houston. That's where I used to live. Now I live way up here on the north. Can you see the cursor? No. Now I live way up here in Humble, where Lake Houston is. That is where, there it is. In Humble, where Lake Houston is. I live up here. But yeah, that's where I used to live. 5210 sounds right. That sounds like my old address. Okay, so we're going to close this window. All right, so I'm going to do a quick... See, look, Zillow? Is that the Zillow Houston? Yeah, that'll do it. 5210 sounds right. It feels right. I got a patch of beard up here that needs to be shaved. And it's currently for sale, so it should be pretty easy. 5210 Indigo. Well, that's wrong. Gave me Indigo Run, South Carolina. Come on. 5210. 5210 Indigo, Houston. Put the screen back up. They've got Hilton Head that they're showing me right now. That's not what I want to see. Houston, Texas, 77096. That sounds right. That sounds like the address that I used to have. 5210. This is all Hilton Head. That's not a fucking thing. Let's see what it says. That's my neighbor. That would have been my neighbor's house. $400,000 house. 650, 5212, 52. So next door to it would be 5212, 5208. Yeah. So this would have been a starter house back in the day, and now it's $400,000. $400,000 for this fucking house. And it can't be wildly different than the house next door, unless there's been some serious improvements to it. Woof. Goodness. All right, so we're going to close this shit. All right. Thanks for indulging me on that, guys. I was curious, and now I know. Minimize that. On to chat. Carry on. But yeah, I mean, that 650 square foot, and it looks like they expanded the garage into the dining room, which means they probably expanded the house in the back into the backyard and put in a dining room in the back. I'm surprised they didn't put a second floor on the house, to be honest. Anyway. So yeah, my old house that I moved into when I was a newlywed, we lived there for 2 years, I think. Probably sold for $20,000, if that, at some point in its lifespan. Is worth at least $400,000 now. Insanity. Absolute insanity. I'm going to look up on HAR, see if I can find that house. HAR is the Houston Area Realtors page. Indigo. Let's see here. $52.08. No. Let's see. I'm going to try one more thing. 77054 was the zip code, right? Let's see. I'm crazy curious at this point. South Freeway. All right, so this is the Southwest. I'm scanning over to my old neighborhood to try and find it real quick. Y'all can watch me do this, because I'm dying of curiosity at this point. So that's 610. That's Bissonnet. I'm looking for Beech Nut, which should be right there. There's Indigo. Where'd it go? There's Indigo. Yeah, there's Hillcroft. So that should be right about where my old house was. Zoom. Search the map area here. That should give me what I'm looking for. Bingo. 219,000. That's the one? Nope, that's Grape, not Indigo. Indigo is just a block above Grape. Why is that house not showing up? Oh, you know what? Maybe it was an old picture, so it was an old listing, so it's not actively for sale anymore. That's probably why. Old listing, not actively for sale. So yeah, now $400,000, closer to $250,000 at this point, $225,000. 650 square foot house. This house on Grape Street is 1,500 square feet. $1,400 square feet on Bob White, McAvoy. So yeah, all these houses are old houses too. Super. Okay, so we're not enough of this. Goodbye. Okay. So anyway, yeah, houses are fucking expensive as hell now. But that tells you also, that gives you a little insight as to where the old humble guy came from. I had a very tiny house back when I was a newlywed. We had a tiny house just outside the Loop. Big backyard. Lots of good times in that house. Lots of good times in that house. But today, a dream spot for a home went up for sale. 1,100 square feet, 2 bed, 2 bath, 300. God damn. $380,000. Jesus. Of course, that same house inside the Loop here in Houston would be $350,000 to $450,000. Easy. No doubt about it. All right. Are we caught up? Yeah. We're caught up. Or almost caught up. Next chat. And Humble has explained why I won't vote. Yep. It's pain. And again, those are policy decisions. It's policy decisions to make it just a big enough pain in the ass that people will be like, nah, fuck it. Not worth it. Not worth the effort. I mean, Jesus, I've turned around and walked out of a store because I didn't have my wallet. And the chances of me coming back to that store, unless it was something I absolutely needed, were zero. Think about that same thing with voting. You get turned away because you didn't have your ID, or I mean, you should have your ID when you go to vote, but you get turned away because you don't have your ID, or there was something wrong and you need to make a phone call, or just one little road bump, one little roadblock, one little bump, one little hiccup in the process. You're like, you know what? I don't have time for this shit. I got to go. I'll come back later. Right now, I've got 20 minutes to do this, and this is taking more than 20 minutes. I got to go by. Lines at the polling station. Lines are a form of voter suppression. If you don't have enough polling places and it creates lines of people waiting in line, there's plenty of people who show up and see the line and go, nah, fuck it. And then they'll just turn around and leave. I would much rather see twice as many polling places as what we need than half as many polling places as what we need. I would rather see empty polling locations than locations with lines around the corner. Because that's lines around the corner is voter suppression. It's maybe not intentional voter suppression, but it is a structure which suppresses the vote, which is not necessarily the same as voter suppression, because voter suppression suggests that you're doing something intentionally. But if you don't have enough polling places, you have done something intentionally to suppress the vote. And you may not have done it on purpose, because there may not have been enough people voting in the primaries for you to think you needed enough polling places. So it may not have been intentional voter suppression, but it's still voter suppression. Goodness gracious. All right, I've finished my drink, and I have 2 chats left. Or I'm almost finished with my drink, and I have 2 chats left. Next. You can buy happiness with money. That's her stripper name. You can rent happiness with money, but you can't buy people. Come on now. But I think you can definitely buy happiness. You can at least buy the things that make you happy. You can buy the things that allow you to pursue happiness without having to worry about basic life necessities. Anyway, next, ding. You know you're old when you know the street names of where you used to live. Fuck you. Yes, I know the street names of where I used to live. I lived at Shenwood when I was a kid, when we moved to Houston. I don't remember where I lived in Lumberton. I think the road I lived on in Toledo, where I was born. I was born in Toledo, Ohio. I lived there for 2 years, and I think the road was Chemical Avenue. I think, but I don't know for sure. I was a baby. I don't remember. But I went back to visit, so that's how I know. I think it was something like that. I don't remember the name of the road I lived on in Lumberton. I was between 2 and 5 years old. I do remember when I was 5 years old, I got an Incredible Hulk birthday cake. That was pretty cool. Moved from Lumberton to Houston, Humble specifically. Here in Humble, we lived in Shenwood Drive from 1980 until 1992. And 1992, my senior year, I think it was my senior year. Might have been my freshman year, which would have been 1989. We moved to Medicine Bow. And then from Medicine Bow, I moved to Calhoun Road, Calhoun Road, where Moody Towers was located at the University of Houston. And I moved from Calhoun to Wheeler, where that apartment was located. And from Wheeler to Ashley, I can't remember the name of the road. That the apartment complex was Ashley something. I think the road might have been Ashley Drive. I think. Barrent. Might have been Barrent Road. Barrent sounds like something. But I lived there for a few years. Then I got married. And then we moved to Indigo. Then I lived on Randon. Then we moved to Sun. 4334. I don't remember what the road was. Sun something. I don't remember what the last address I had was. Huh. Sun something. Sunlit Pass. 43, yeah, Sunlit Pass Loop. That's what I lived at. Sunlit Pass Loop. Or Sunlit Pass. And then from Sunlit Pass, I now live on, what is this? Westerlake. So yeah, I know all the roads that I lived on. I haven't lived in a lot of places. I don't move very often. I lived in my childhood home for 13 years. 1980 to 1993. So I lived in that house for like 5 years. I've lived everywhere I've lived for at least probably 5 years. Except for that one apartment after Moody Towers, my dormitory. I lived there for 3 years. I moved into that apartment for 2 years. So I lived at U of H for 5 years, I suppose, if you want to count it that way. And then we moved to that apartment complex, which I swear Barrent sounds right. But I lived in that apartment complex from 99 till we moved after we got married, probably 3 years, it might have been 5 years. I think we moved into that. No, we couldn't have lived there for 5 years. Because we moved into our house after we got married, probably 2 years after we got married, probably 2003. And then we lived in that house from 2003 to 2008. And then we lived in that house from 2008 to 2013. And I think because we built a new house over there, that neighborhood on Sunlit Pass. And I think I lived there for 3 years. And then we sold that house and moved over here. I think. That sounds about right. because we would have moved here the year my oldest turned 13. No, 14. I think we moved here the year my youngest went to kindergarten. I think he started kindergarten here, and that would have been in, let's see, he's 13 now, which means he was born in 2011, which means we moved here in 2016. God, have we lived here for 8 years? Jeez, I think we've lived in this house for 8 years. Good God. Well, that's not bad. I mean, it's a pretty good run. That's a pretty good run. But I think it's time to wrap up the show, kids. I think it's time to wrap this up. We've gone down memory lane. And memory lane is a fun place to visit, but not a great place to live. Right? Right? Am I right? Am I right, everybody? Mitch, they're in the booth. You good? We good to wrap up? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages. Do y'all like that idea of doing a members only, a member-thon of every member getting a collapsible shot glass? New members get collapsible shot glasses plus Mr. Jigs. Y'all like that idea? Everybody gets a collapsible shot glass? Up to 50 members? I think I'll do that. I think that'll be a cool thing to do. I need ideas on how to market that, how to advertise a members telethon show. Got to figure that out, because I can't advertise lives. I can't promote a live stream upcoming. I can't promote an upcoming live stream, but I can promote a trailer for an upcoming live stream. And I can say in the trailer, a little 5-minute video or 2-minute video in the trailer, hey, it's me, the Old Humble guy. We're going to be doing a membership telethon on November 10th or whatever day. Every member that signs up during that show will get a collapsible shot glass with our logo on it. We'll send it to your house. You don't even have to be 21. I prefer you to be 21. Make it 21. Everybody who's 21 or over. Get a collapsible shot glass. We'll send it directly to your house. Become a member. Send me your email address. We'll contact you, and we will get this thing sent to your house. So I wonder. It turns off just by fucking tapping this thing. Dude, I didn't know my microphone did that. Check this out. You can see the watch. Oh, come on. Check it out. I just learned my microphone did a thing. Tap, tap. Turns off, on. 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 Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited. Oh, does it do it anywhere? Just on top. That is the fucking coolest thing. I had no idea. That's probably why my microphone turned off earlier, because I was playing with the stupid thing and I probably tapped it. I was sitting here holding it up. Yeah. And it's just a rub. It just whoop. Oh, dude. Look at it. Look. On. Yeah. Fucking hell. I'm so excited. All you gotta do is rub it to turn it on. I'm so happy with myself. Oh my God. Okay. Final shot, parting shot. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, thank you for tuning into the show tonight. I really do appreciate it. I like having the conversation. Give me somebody to talk to, gives me something to do. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me in the conversation, for being decent people and being willing to have a conversation and not being cuckoo bird crazy and living in your world with your own facts. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate this community. I appreciate you fine folks. Thank you for joining me. Thank you all 55 people who stopped in tonight. OldHumbleDistilling.com. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, go to OldHumbleDistilling.com to order whiskey. Makes for a great holiday gift, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year. You need good whiskey for Thanksgiving because you've got relatives over. It's just after the election. Some of these people are going to be fucking insufferable. Go ahead and get a nice bottle of whiskey so you don't have to listen to Uncle Jeff be all like, oh, they stole the fucking election. Let me tell you how they did it. And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Be decent to each other. Be awesome people. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your involvement in the community. Don't forget to vote. We are exactly 1 week away. I will be back next Tuesday with a late-ish show, and we will be doing an election watch party. I don't know if we're going to have a winner next Tuesday, but we're going to do a results watch party, and we're going to see what we get. I may even open it up and have a forum and let people join me. That'd be something, wouldn't it? Have an actual conversation with people all over the screen. It'll be dope as hell. I'll see you guys next week. See you guys Thursday for trivia. Then I'll see you guys next week. Cheers. Be decent people to each other. Don't forget to vote. God bless and good night. Cheers.